Good evening, everyone. Anthony Wall Street Trader, 8:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 2nd, 2023. Happy New Year's. And secondly, I just want to say it's been a long time, about a year since we last did a video on Quant. This is one of my top picks, I think, even though all of the cryptos went down that I covered. This one seems to have stood its ground a lot better than many of them. Anyway, before we get into that, let's just run through a couple of things. This is not financial advice, educational. Please seek your own advice and do your own research before you invest on anything I say or do. So let's go into Quant on kind of a backdrop in terms of 2022. Tried to summarize it here, but you might as well just go to the website. In the past year, these guys have done a lot to help low code their API, meaning make it quicker for people to produce results. No one wants to sit there and toil away at code all day long. So they've, over to the right, they've created these better, smarter, smart contracts that allow people to use templates to create these smart contracts a lot quicker, preset capabilities, presetting their variables, as well as leverage of existing functionality. So you don't have to keep writing that, pesky code to get there. The other thing is they have a lot of that REST JSON API inherent into their Overledger API, so you can integrate that within their payments operations, which is good. On to QRC tokens. These are really more institutional tokens that helps issuers hook in with investors, and these help people mint new digital assets. So issuance of new assets, very key here. It's similar to ERC, except it does work on multiple platforms, which is kind of at the bottom down here. But anyway, blockchain-based payments, endpoints able to do more blockchain-based payments, a lot of the account management capabilities, and to help power these CBDCs and stablecoins. Not much here. A couple of the key ones here for me that resonate are secure smart contracts. I think that's very, very key. A lot of these and the QRC 20 tokens are a big deal. Now, moving down into the other things that they've done this year, growth of roles. They've increased their role growth by 74% of new people within the Quant Network team. They've also helped increase the velocity and the quality of their development pipeline. Sometimes you got to change the way the technology operating model works so that you have much faster code development, deployment, and at a much higher quality. And they do this using things like CI, CD, continuous integration, continuous development, and things of that nature. On to the third point, they are very much participant in lots of global forums. To me, this should be their number one thing that they do, which is get in front of the clients, get in front of the users of the technology, as well as the potential clients, both investors, issuers, all of it. And that I think should be their number one thing. I know they are very focused in on developing out their Overledger platform, which is key. But I think the other half that people need to do is get out there and do the legwork and get this thing adopted. So this is something I'm sure they're doing pretty well. In fact, they've recently partnered with UST, which is a pretty large 20, 30,000 people in this big UST digital tech company to help accelerate institutional digital assets. So that partnership there will help with working with potentially maybe UST's clients, potentially with with the Quant Networks clients. I think the collaboration there, it's not very much spelled out, but I'd imagine they're going to leverage each other cautiously as they navigate through helping forge ahead with getting better adoption across institutional digital assets. In the meantime, let's move forward. Quant. What is Quant? US dollar. I invest in Quant in US dollars because I live here in the United States and I spend my money in dollars. And that's what I do. I buy Quant, I buy this, I buy that, I buy eggs. So here's the deal. Quant US dollar is equal to the inner strength of Quant, which is Quant Bitcoin multiplied by Bitcoin itself. Not all the time I can get what I need out of this pair. So I have to go to the two underlying pairs, which are exactly what these two when multiplied together will give me, which is quant US dollar. And the bottom is the mathematical equivalent. It does make sense. Write it down. Reopen up one of your old high school mathematics books. But anyway, neither here nor there. Let's go hop straight in to the market. Now, Quant is doing really well. Like I said, we had a pretty nasty slip in the middle part of the year. It was around 44, came back, starting to look like this was an inverted head and shoulders pattern here, where it started here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. But now what I'm seeing is it looks like now we're getting a regular head and shoulders pattern here, which gives me a little bit of pause because we're right over here. It looks like this left shoulder, head, right shoulder. If this thing resolves, and this is truly a head and shoulders pattern, this sucker could come down. Now I don't want to scare anyone off. Don't trade on what I'm telling you here, but it does appear that if it does start dropping through here, we could be in for a proper head and shoulders, which could potentially, worst case in my view, if it did, we'd be back down to where we were around here, but maybe a little higher, 47. Regardless, or we could spill out right around here, right where you see last resistance, support, and areas like that. So, look, I'd say if it does come dropping down here, it could come down to 85 and change is the first area of support, and then look out below if things get really hairy. I think that what's going to happen is January we're going to get a little bit of a pump action across the board, but I think we're going to wind up seeing a little turbulence ahead. And I say that across all tech stocks, I say that across all cryptos. I think that's where we might be headed. But this pair is where we are right now. If you look at it a closer way right now, we take a look and we're seeing that we're getting a little flag action over here. Now, whether we resolve, if we pass through and get above 110, then I think we could be flying up. We could probably fly up to right around here, which is 116. Not dramatic, but at least a next step in that range. Somewhere in the 115, 116 range is where I'd expect us to first have in terms of first leg of resistance and then up from there. But right now, we got to see if we can break out. We have until the first week of January. By next weekend, something should resolve in here. Either we drop down or we kick up, and we'll find out soon. Let's look over at Quant Bitcoin. Quant Bitcoin looks almost the same. In fact, this thing should be resolving really soon. Um, Again, probably a little bit sooner than that. Doesn't really matter. Sometime between now and the end of the week, I think we're going to start to see some action one way or the other. Now, if it starts kicking up, I think we're going to see some nice action here. And this probably kick up to around 753. We're at 652. So good news there. On Bitcoin, let's just take a look here. And with Bitcoin, like everything else, has also gone down this year. And looks like we have a wedge that's going to continue on looking like March. So, one way, shape, or form, if we can knock out of here and get above this red resistance line, I think we have a good shot. We have a really clean shot for 28. But let's see what happens. The New Year's coming. A lot's been kind of, we're kind of not looking back anymore. We're looking ahead, but we kind of have to see where we've been and where we're headed. Right now, things look to be on the downward spiral for Bitcoin in terms of quant as well, but a little bit of support here. So hard to say. This is over the past 2 months where we have this area of resistance. If we can get past this, I think this thing's poised for some near-term growth. But in the meantime, we'll keep you posted. Thanks again. Talk soon.